That is so stupid and immature. Hi everyone, this is May and welcome again to my channel Fanitation. I'm back with another review of a James G drama, and today's pick is Game Sanaeha. Game Sanaeha is also known as Game of Love or Game of Affection. It was first broadcast on Thai Channel 3 in June 2018 and it had 14 episodes. It stars James Jirayu as Lakanai or Nai and Taew Natapohn as Menchanok or Nok. The story is based on a book called Game Sanaeha by Arita and adapted into a screenplay by Boy Nantawa, who was also the scriptwriter for Padiwarada. So Game Sanaeha has been shown in China and the Philippines with great success. On my scale of 1 to 10 of James dramas, I rank Game Sanaeha number 10, which means it is the drama that I like the least. This may surprise and even shock many international fans because Game Sanaeha is arguably the most popular of James dramas overseas. Now, this is my very personal view of Game Sanaeha, and I am absolutely aware that the majority of the fandom is unlikely to share my opinion. But there we go. So very briefly, the story of Game Sanaeha is about a girl named Nok whose parents are getting a divorce and her father is marrying a much younger woman. So Nok wants to get her parents back together at all costs, and she blames Nai, James' character, for getting in the way. So she wants to get Nai out of her life and out of her family's life. And she challenges him to a game of love to make him fall in love with her so that she can ultimately destroy him. Honestly, I liked Game Sanaeha when I first watched it. It was one of the first James dramas that I saw, and I thought he was so attractive. I liked it so much that I ordered the DVD set, which you see behind me. And funny story, it was because I ordered this set that I got involved in fan subbing, because I found out that the person who was collating orders was Ingfa, who is the head of our subbing group. Now, James is extremely attractive in this show, but more about that later. There was also a lot of beautiful scenery and some sweet scenes when Nai and Nok go on their honeymoon in Nan in the north of Thailand. There's also quite a lot of fan service in the form of the wedding and pregnancy photo shoots for fans to fantasize over. The character that I liked the most was Wisaka or Wee, Nok's mother, played by Tanya Tanares. She is full of life and she's very fun and she's very witty, but she also plays the emotional scenes very, very well. I enjoyed her May-December romance with Wed, and I thought that relationship proceeded quite gradually and developed very naturally. I also liked following the story about Wee and Tawat's relationship. So they are Nok's parents, and they start off the show being at each other's throats because they have just gone through a divorce. They can't stand each other, but over time they realize that they have a lot of common ground, one of which is protecting Nok. And this brings them together, and they realize that they care for each other, they understand each other, and they can support each other even though they are no longer in love. That was something that I really liked about this show. But now for the bad news. The more I watched Game Sanaeha, the further downhill it went, and I have some really deep-seated problems with it. So good shows should be enjoyable. It will be even better if there are layers and things for you to discover. But not every show has to be very deep. You can have a very simple storyline that is very well executed, and it can still be very enjoyable. But this was not the case for me for Game Sanaeha. The more I watched it, the more obvious the flaws were, and the more I couldn't ignore them, to the point where they overshadowed anything that was good about this show for me. Now, the first episode of any drama series is extremely important because it attracts the audience and will determine whether or not you come back for more. So in this way, Game Sanaeha really served up the high drama in the first episode. Nai takes away the baby, her parents divorce, her father has a girlfriend who is almost the same age as her. She headbutts Nai, she falls over and almost kisses him, and she almost gets knocked over by a car. And the setup seems to be very exciting, and it does make you want to come back for more. But what I found was that the show didn't live up to its expectations. There are a lot of very highly dramatic moments throughout the show, but the basis for the conflict in many of these scenes tends to be very weak and illogical. There are a lot of tropes in this drama. There's a lot of crying, a lot of fainting, ending up in hospital for real and unreal reasons, getting drunk, getting framed, being put in compromising positions, and getting pregnant at very convenient plot points. Because that's how sex works. When Nok and Nai first meet in this show, she follows him to the hotel because she thinks he is shacking up with her mother. So she gets very angry with him and she headbutts him and they get into a scuffle. They grew up together in the same house and she has only been overseas for 2 years, but she can't recognize him at all. And Nai is Nok's father's right-hand man, both professionally and personally. He runs a lot of errands for him and he's always by his side. Now Tawat is dating Care, who used to be Nai's girlfriend. So Nai knows practically everything that's going on in Tawat's life, but he doesn't know about his girlfriend Care. And Care doesn't know about Tawat's right-hand man. And they only discover their common link to Tawat when Nok reappears, because it is convenient to create a complication in the story. So these people are so rich, but their social circle is so tiny. All the main characters are linked to at least 2 other characters romantically. Tawat is linked to Wee and Care. Wee is linked to Wet and Tawat. Nai is linked to Nok and Care. Care is linked to Nai and Tawat. Wet is linked to Nok and Wee. It's like this terribly incestuous merry-go-round. These people need to get out more. Now James' character Nai has an interesting backstory. He was abandoned as a child and then he grows up with Nok's family. And Nok's parents are really very good to him. They treat him like their nephew and they really love him. He grows up and he becomes very successful in his life working for Tawat. His handsomeness is very distracting in this show and he is a most swoon-worthy baby daddy who probably made half the fandom's ovaries explode. Now in the book Game Sanaeha, Nai's character is very different. He is a real bastard. He rapes Nok and gets her pregnant, and therefore she really hates him and wants to wreak revenge on him. Now this makes sense even if you don't like that kind of plot, because it gives Nok a real motivation for hating Nai. But in this show, they whitewash Nai to become this knight in shining armor who was going to come and rescue Nok from herself. It starts out alright. He stands up to her, doesn't take any nonsense, but that disappears very fast and he becomes this spineless, lovesick man who accepts all her abuse and makes all kinds of excuses for her again and again and again. It's very hard to root for a man who is supposed to be so smart and successful, but who is such a doormat and just lets her step all over him. And when she asks him why he loves her, his answer is because she has the most beautiful smile. I don't condone physical violence, but I really want to slap you, Nai. That is so stupid and immature. His character has flaws too. He makes dumb decisions like taking Care to the doctor when she is pregnant, even though he knows it will hurt Nok. And he doesn't have to do that. He's got lots of people who can also help him to take care of Care for Tawat. But why does he do this? Because the drama wants to create more complications so that they can stretch out the problems between Nai and Nok. There is no other good reason. He can't forgive Care for ditching him because her mother said he was not good enough. But he forgives Nok time and again, even though she does the same or worse to him. I thought James' acting in this show was pretty good, especially the emotional scenes, which were really quite heart-wrenching. You can really see his pain and his suffering. So in terms of acting in this show, I give James a pass. Then we have to talk about Nok. Why does she make me so angry? Nok's character reinforces so many negative stereotypes about women. She is rude and peevish and conniving and manipulative. She guilt trips and she uses emotional blackmail to get her way. She is ridiculously dramatic and very irrational. She plays really dirty and will win at all costs. Now Nok has money, she has parents who really love her, she has a grandma who dotes on her and a housekeeper who thinks she can do no wrong. So how does she end up being such a detestable character? So my explanation boils it down to 2 things. insecurity, and social status. Her parents' divorce jolts her out of her comfort zone. Now Nai becomes her punching bag because he has done what she hasn't. She has had all the benefits in life just laid out in front of her for her picking. Now he also has money, he also has her parents' love, and he is part of their family. But he earned all of this himself. He is a successful businessman and frankly is more useful to her father than she is. Her head is so far up her own ass, she can't see that her parents have been having trouble for many years. Whereas Nai knows and understands her parents much better than she does. And this insecurity about her own position makes her lash out at him in the most cruel ways she can imagine. Because of her self-centeredness, she ruins so many things for him, including their wedding, their honeymoon, her pregnancy, and the birth of their child. But not only does Nai not blame her, he forgives her and he comforts her. And she inevitably repays him with more cruelty and distrust. Her hubris causes her to make some really ridiculous decisions. She gets rip-roaringly drunk after meeting Wet for the first time. Then she dates Wuta to spite Nai, even though everyone can smell the slime oozing from this man. And then when shit hits the fan, what happens? She curls up into a fetal position. What happened to her fight and gumption? It's gone, because according to the story, Nai needs to come and save her. She shares some very sad and touching and sweet scenes with Nai, but inevitably it will end up in some ridiculously complicated, melodramatic misunderstanding. So how do I feel about Taew's portrayal as Nok? I give her a pass for eliciting such a visceral reaction from me. So it's a low pass from me because my overall impression is that she had three main expressions: acting cute, which is not cute for a 20-something-year-old, sobbing very loudly, and disdain. This look. And this is the same look that Sitang has in Leban Pakan, like she always smells something rotten. Not my favorite, to put it very mildly. Now, the other thing that was really frustrating for me was social status in this show. Nok is a total snob through and through. She believes that being born rich makes her superior to a lot of other people, and therefore it justifies what she thinks and how she treats them. And God forbid that anyone tries to climb the social ranks, because they will be damned just for thinking of trying. So this accounts for some of her stupid decisions. She trusts Wed, she trusts Wuta because they are from the same social class as she is. Whereas Nai can move the mountains and the heavens, and she will always think that he has some ulterior motive because he is from a lower class than she is. And whenever they fight, she must bring up his humble beginnings, because for her, that is much more important than the fact that he has climbed out of the shadow of his traumatic childhood and become a success. Again and again and again. She loves Napai, who is only too happy and honored to be her devoted servant. Napai puts Nok on a pedestal. She can do no wrong, and her needs come before everybody else's, including her own daughter Pen. Of course Nok loves her. But does this give Nok the right to talk to Pen and treat Pen in the way that she does in front of her mother? And by the way, for Nok, she blames Care for taking away her father when she is already an adult, while she took away Pen's mother when they were children. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? Now, this idea of this established and accepted social structure was reinforced by Nai. He grew up with Nok, and her parents consider him their nephew, and he is 2 years older than her. So by right, she should call him P. But she doesn't. And he subserviently and politely always calls her Kun Nok. So that establishes their rank straight away. So the subtext is that even Nai does not see himself as an equal to Nok. And to me, this is the only reasonable explanation why he accepts her behavior and makes excuses for her and even loves her for it. So I found myself really rooting for Pen as the underdog. She is damned from the beginning for aspiring to be rich and being willing to do almost anything to get there. But is it really terrible that she wants a better life than this Stockholm Syndrome servitude that her mother so willingly embraces? Does she have to be humble her whole life and know her place in order for everybody to love her? She is very dissatisfied with her place in society and has great ambitions. And she does many questionable things. But how does that make her worse than Nok, who goes to extremes to knowingly hurt the people around her, especially the ones she thinks are lower than her, like Nai and Care? All for her own selfish reasons. But based on the way this lakon is filmed, we are not supposed to like or support Penny until she grovels. So I felt really sad when she had to kowtow to the family and ask their forgiveness, because they have done some really nasty things themselves. But because they have money and status, they get to judge her actions, but she doesn't get to judge theirs. She plays with her parents' feelings by pretending to run away and pretending to be hurt and setting up situations so she can manipulate the way that they think. So even though I like Wee and Tawat, I have to lay the blame on the parents for never having passed on the right values and the right behavior to Nok. No, so this is the problem I have with the writing of this character. If you're going to make Nok so awful, then her redemption story needs to be equally weighted. But it's not. She does all these truly detestable things for the larger part of the show. And in the end, all it takes is that I love you and a smile to Nai, and everything is hunky-dory again. So as the female lead, Nok definitely needs more layers, but I for one have no patience to peel this onion. So the ending of the lakon, which many people found very romantic, really pissed me off, because in the end, Nok got everything that she wanted. So what is the trigger that really irked me the most about Game Sanaeha? I found the message that love triumphs all. Very toxic and rather dangerous. The message may be unintentional, but it basically tells you that if you are in a toxic relationship, you should hang on to your belief in that person, because one day they will come around and then love will conquer all. This is the kind of romantic nonsense that is not only ridiculous, but encourages people to get into and stay in toxic relationships. Others may have found comfort in thinking they can find a perfect man like Nai who will love them unconditionally no matter how many times they make mistakes, even if they are intentional and cruel. This is not a healthy and balanced relationship. And every time you compromise with a person who is not giving you 50% back, it will erode more of your self-worth. And this, I feel, is what happens to Nai, because right at the very end, Nok still thinks she has the right to make an off-color remark about how if their relationship doesn't work out, she can leave him. So he challenges her to one final game of forever love, because he is banking on her desire to win, more than trusting in the fact that she will love him forever. This is pathetic and sad. So of course some of you may say, do I have to be so serious? It's just a lakon. But I have read so many online comments admiring Nok, and she is almost like a role model for them. And this really worries me. But what can you do? I really wanted to try and make this rant video more lighthearted, but I don't think I succeeded very well. I have real problems watching the show again, and when I had to review it in order to do this video, I tried to fast forward most of it, but it really annoyed me. When it was rerun in November 2020, I couldn't even muster up the enthusiasm to tweet about it. I tried, but I didn't want to say anything very negative. So it all ended up with, Nai is very handsome. And eventually, I gave up. So this is really the end for Game Sanaeha. I don't think I will ever revisit this lakon again because it just causes me too much stress. So that ends my review of Game Sanaeha. I hope I will be able to do one soon for Carrot Rak, which stars James and Ann Tongprasom. The rumor is that it will come out before the end of the year. So let's all cross our fingers that it is a good one. Thank you for watching and supporting my channel. I hope to see you next time. Till then, take care and stay safe everyone. Bye!